It's 11 minutes past 12. Well, the grim news is the TT races have been cancelled for the second year in a row. The Manx government says the decision on the 2021 event down to the ongoing impact of COVID-19 and the worldwide pandemic. Tim Glover's with me, news editor for Manx Radio, but also Radio TT lead commentator as well. Well, who's hit most? The fans, the government, the economy, the riders? It reaches everybody, doesn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it does. And I did an interview earlier in the year in March with Lawrence Skelly about the same subject, a cancellation of a TT. Little did I think I'd be doing the same interview again later in the year. I mean, the calendar tomorrow clicks on to December. We're into Advent, the run into Christmas. Some fans are already saying it feels like Christmas to them is being cancelled. That's the emotional impact that it will have on people. But an interesting line from Ryan Farquhar, who's asked the question. He runs, of course, his own team there, KMR. He was asked the question about the Northwest 200, which they haven't made a decision on yet for next year. There is talk of it maybe moving. But his quote is worth reading. Anyone running a team and riders who is living in hope that racing will happen has to be able to make plans and put things in place. You've got to spend a lot of money, and there is no point in sponsors, teams, managers and team owners living in hope for some racing and throwing all their eggs into one basket financially and then being told at the last minute that it's not happening. And there was a little bit of criticism back in March that it was quite close to the dates, and I think the government this time have wanted everybody to have some certainty.
The hospitality industry is going to get hit. Did Mr. Skelly give any flesh on the bones about how much money was going to be made available?
No, we're expecting to get a further media release later. The agreements have been struck up with Treasury. But if you recall, people in the hospitality sector were saying, and accommodation, that it's like a winter followed by winter followed by winter. It seems to be a perpetual winter at the moment, and they are going to need some sort of financial rescue, that's for sure.
The financial benefit to the Isle of Man from the TT is manifold. There are obviously legitimate incomes, so can I put it, tabulated incomes, but lots of people make lots of money. I'm just thinking of places like Homestay. I'm thinking of Douglas Rugby Club for a start. Old Boys, the campsite there on Blackberry Lane, St John's, all the Balaclone, everybody's got campsites, and lots of football clubs, sports clubs in general. The TTTs that are put on in church halls right across the Isle of Man. Now, this is going to hit an awful lot of people. So just to address that first of all, Tim, how important is the income, do you think, to people like sports clubs?
It's massive, and it cannot be underestimated at all. And you're absolutely right. I think one thing that Mr. Skelly was very open about was when they did make the cancellation call in March. Yes, there's the headline figure that it's £37 million to the Manx economy, but it was how deep down into the Manx economy those ripple effects of a cancelled event go. And you're right, it is the parish church halls, the TTTs that are on, the campsites, many of the sporting clubs, that's their biggest income of the year, and some depend on it as well.
Many tens of thousands of pounds.
It is a huge amount of money going into a club, so they're going to have to look about how they financially structure themselves without that windfall coming in for 2 years in a row.
I want to talk also, Tim, about the fact that this is a sporting event, but it's also an iconic event for the Isle of Man. And nobody wants to think about it, but you did broach the subject with Lawrence Skelly about the fact that, nature abhors a vacuum, and so does sport. The fact that there is no TT for the second year running. Any possibility that it may not come back?
No, that question was put, and the Minister was very firm in saying, no, we carry on planning with the Classic and the Manx Grand Prix in August, September. The bank holiday, senior race day, they've announced that decision quickly as well, so there will be a 4-day bank holiday again at the end of August, and plans will go ahead for getting the event on in 2022. However, what isn't known is the psychological damage that this COVID-19 pandemic is going to cause. Are people going to be confident enough to travel? Are they going to be confident enough to be in big crowds? And economically, we know the hit for many people is still to come. So for teams, for sponsors, how much are they going to be able to put into their ventures? And also for individuals, their financial circumstances may change and they may not be able to afford to come to the TT, because it obviously is an expensive trip for fans. They'll have the desire there, but will they have the financial clout to be able to come over?
Well, TTs on many people, we've seen this phrase bucket list come into play in the past 10 years or so, and it seems to be with the 3D Closer to the Edge film and everything that came about from that. It was becoming more and more popular. It was getting bigger and bigger, wasn't it?
It was indeed. I mean, you only go back 15, 20 years ago, there was a lot of talk leading into the centenary event, which was in 2007, that might be the last TT. Well, I think anybody who's been watching the TT from 2007 and then the anniversary of the mountain course in 2011, they've seen it get bigger and bigger. And they're going to have to, obviously, and I'm sure they will be, taking the time to take the TT to pieces in some respects and see how they can come back in 2022 with an even bigger offering.
MGP Classic TT next year. The plans are in place.
The plans are in place. We're told that a decision will be made around about March time as to whether that is a goer or not. And I think that was a big issue as well. There was a lot of talk, a lot of conjecture that they would move the TT from the May-June slot to the end of August. But there's no guarantee if they postponed it that they wouldn't be coming back in March and saying it's cancelled again. So I think they were worried about that. They were worried about disappointing fans of the Classic TT and fans of the Manx Grand Prix, as well as all the logistical headaches of the accommodation providers who have bookings that have been rolled over, the Steam Packet that have bookings that are rolled over for that event. If they tried to move the TT into there, that slot, again, it could have been a double disappointment if they'd done that.